the pressure to start and to grow is bigger than the idea of who suits me instead of who can I suit. The act of ruminating is basically just you're sitting there with a magic 8 ball and you're just endlessly shaking it to try and get the answer that you want and that feels right, instead of sitting in the uncertainty. You then get to a point where there's so many things, you don't do any of them, and then you're just stuck like in a freeze, just not knowing what one to pick up. And especially because I come from a family of people that are so invested in growing businesses and being self-employed. I've seen it. I know it's possible to do it. So it's just an element of being able to like trust in yourself to be able to do it.
Right, Katie, welcome to Business Blocks.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Katie from KBP. I thought I was going to mess that up. KBP.
Yeah.
Creative. So, I guess to start things off, like maybe just tell me a little bit about your journey into creating that, like starting that, and why you started it.
Amazing. Okay, so KBP Creative is solely a multi-service creative agency. So I'm focusing a lot around social media, content, strategy, and branding. So it's kind of a mixture of, I'd kind of like to call it your one-person marketing and creative team. So I want to be able to help brands and businesses hone in on what sort of creative and brand vision they want to bring to life and be that kind of one-stop person for that. Because I've been employed for my entire adult life and working in creative jobs. So I worked at Topshop doing visual and display for like 8 or 9 years. And then I went into working in social media and styling with jewelry brands. And then working within a company, I think that gives you a perspective, especially when you're a creative person. You have the perspective of like, you like so many aspects of marketing and so many aspects of these businesses that you feel like you want to be able to dip your toe in everything, but because you're in a specific job role, you're a little bit more restricted. So after years of working with jewelry companies and within brands and businesses, wanting to explore and expand my role, I was always kind of met with the conversation of like, it's not quite what we need, or we'd need to hire another person, or we need you to focus on this specific thing. So it was quite restricting. And I think as well with anybody who's employed, you feel restricted to the brand that you're in as well. Right. And I think for me, it was a lot of like wanting to be able to work with loads of different industries and loads of different businesses. So I don't just feel like I'm working with a specific niche, so I can expand my skills across loads of different businesses. So that's kind of where that started. And I was quite lucky in a sense because, well, it wasn't lucky because it was quite not a very nice scenario, but I was working in London for about 5 years for a jewelry brand called Daisy, and they were absolutely amazing. Like, such a great company, learned so much, gave me so much confidence. And then just the commuting to London was a bit draining and a bit of a mess. So I was like, I feel like I want to come back and be closer to home and things like that. So I got another job that was local to Brighton, but it instantly kind of felt like it wasn't the right fit. And I think when you're in a scenario like that, and I was so lucky at the time to have so many people around me that were like, you can do it by yourself. Like, you have this idea, you're passionate about it, like you can go after it. And there's no reason why you can't trust yourself and take that risk. So, and especially because I come from a family of people that are so invested in growing businesses and being self-employed, excuse me, and being self-sufficient in a sense of building your own business and being like, all of my family are extremely driven. Like my sister, for example, she's a hairdresser and she's been working since she was 15, 16, and she trained with an amazing, really, really big named hairdresser. And she's been self-employed ever since. And she owns her, like, it's like her life is her own. And I feel like every time you are surrounded by people that have built that for themselves, it becomes so much easier to have the faith of like, I've seen it, I know it's possible to do it. So it's just an element of being able to like trust in yourself to be able to do it.
That's interesting, because I don't know if you're familiar with the phrase, I forget the number, it might be 3 or it might be 5, I think it's 5. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you kind of, even if it may not have been sort of deliberately, but you just have been always surrounded by that mindset, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of, especially my granddad's influence from when I was a kid up until even now that he's passed, even to now, it's very much like when those key people in your life have built businesses and built these big things, or empires, or all of these things that they've built for themselves, and they have that kind of silent faith that you can do it too, even if it's not the right time. So like they never pushed, it was never something that was pushed. It was never like, you need to be self-employed, like you need to build a business, you need to do this. It was always like, if you had a glimpse of an idea, he would be the first person to, his eyes would light up and he'd be the first person to be like, you've had this idea, and what do you need to be like backed? Like, do you need like verbal support? Who do you need to reach out to? How can you do this? So it was a lot of like pragmatic thinking into how to build something. And I think that from a really young age gave me the confidence to be like, if I decide that I want to do this, I know I have the support and the skills to be like, okay, this is my start point, which is my idea. Who do I need to get in touch with? How do I need to market it? What skills do I need to learn? And I think that as like a slow kind of underline process to getting to starting KBP Creative last year was trusting in the timing. So I've gone into all of these different jobs of employment, picking up all these different skills and figuring out what it is that I want to do, to get to a point where the timing to start it was right. So I think it all kind of was like a cosmic thing.
I'm curious about about your sort of what you're in terms of the timing aspect of things. Like to what degree does timing have an influence on whether, or like how you choose to do things?
I think in terms of like big picture, I think it needed to feel like in some weird way it aligned, because the current job that I was in felt like it really wasn't the right fit. And it was kind of everything around the scenario was sort of rejecting it. And then I was in the headspace of like, oh, maybe I should start something new, or maybe like if this isn't the right fit, I should move on to something else, but then I don't know what I want to move on to. And it was kind of like a limbo thing. And I think being able to come out of that and have more control over the timing of it. And it's like, I can grow this business. If I grow it for myself, the timing is under my control instead of somebody else's. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. Like what is your metric, or maybe not metric, like what is your like kind of gauge for when something isn't working? So for example, like the KBP thing is KBP thing is a year old. There's also twin sons that you've just started, which is a different like kind of thing altogether. So I suppose what I'm trying to understand is like, when do you know when to call it? How do you know when to call it on something? Like if you've got an idea, you follow it through, and then you go, actually, no, I'm calling it. Like, for sure. What's your process there? My
process with that is like, so as you mentioned with twin sons is a kind of, it was an exploration of creativity, sort of embracing the AI side of stuff, because I think for creatives, especially in this sort of growing industry, the message at the moment is like, AI is going to replace you. And it's like instilled fear in creative people in the industry. And that was sort of something that I wanted to play around with in terms of how can you, if you're as a business with KBP Creative, if you're offering branding and if you're offering strategy and social media results, other than just showing brands your portfolio of statistics, is there more of a visual and creative way to show them that? So basically what Twin Suns is to grow and develop a branding strategy for a fake brand and break it down visually. So then if somebody that wants to work with KBP Creative on a branding level, I can direct them to Twin Suns, where we've created a mock brand that's completely fake. We show them the branding strategy, their target audience. We completely do the process of what it would be like to reimagine their brand, so they can see it visually from start to finish. So it's less of like, you just have to trust me and trust that I'm good at what I do. And it's more of a visual representation. But Twin Suns is a very early days type thing. And it was like a fun, creative project for me. But then I noticed that a lot of clients would come to me and say, oh, I've seen that you've started this. Could you do this for my brand? Like, is there a way you could do this for my brand? Right. So it could potentially bring in business. But I think I'd know when to call it with Twin Suns, or maybe not to progress with it if it just became something that was taking up a lot of my time that I could be spending on bigger picture stuff for KBP Creative, and it wasn't drawing in interest or it wasn't drawing in clients. So I think that is probably how I would judge it. So it's like, if it's taking up a lot of my time and I'm not getting, not immediate reward, but if I'm not getting any sort of not backlash is the wrong word, but like any kind of reception from it, I'd probably decide to sort of step back from it and say maybe it's not quite the right thing that benefits the business. But then in terms of generally with KBP Creative, having undiagnosed ADHD, timing is probably something that is my biggest struggle.
Okay, tell me more about that.
It's very much based around things like task paralysis and just getting stuck in like granular jobs. Right. And I think for creative people, especially in the industry that's like, and if you've got any sort of neurodivergence involved, it becomes one of those things where it's like you have all these ideas that you're so inspired by and so excited by. You get so overwhelmed of which one you want to start first because it's so exciting and it's making you feel really passionate and it's charging that part of you. You then get to a point where there's so many things, you don't do any of them, and then you're just stuck like in a freeze, just not knowing what one to pick up. Okay. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed this year with KBP Creative, is that I have all of these skills and I have all of these ideas that I want it to be and how I want to present it and all these services that I want to offer and all these things that I want to do. But then you get to the point where if you're in that moment of freeze, nothing happens.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, you mean like brain fog sort of thing. So, I mean, I can completely understand that. If you had, I mean, how many would you say roughly you had in terms of these like ideas that are like kind of flying around? Oh,
I have like probably like 10 a minute. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to want to do this and I want to do this. And it's all very much like, my brain is constantly.
But where do they live, these ideas, other than your brain?
On a loop. If I don't physically write them down, they will just spin in my brain consistently. I won't forget about them either. They'll just always be there and my brain will just be full and just rattling of all of these things. Yeah. And I'll have to ask like friends. In the beginning, when I first started KBP Creative, it was a lot of like, because I'm a reassurance person. So like if I have an idea about something or if I have a thought about something, my first instinct is to tell somebody so they can reassure me that it's a good idea. And I'm like, okay, good, okay, fine. But as I've progressed throughout doing this, I've become less inclined to be vocal about the ideas, and I'm a little bit more in my head with it.
And what is the impact of that for you?
Nothing, like less happens because less is being put out.
Less happens good, less happens bad?
Bad.
Okay.
Less happens bad because I'm like, I have all of these ideas that rattle around in my brain. I write them down, and then if I don't, and there's also an element of like messy perfectionism for me as well, which is a lot of like everything, all my structure or lack thereof is based around being messy. But in terms of wanting to produce something that's really top level and really meaningful, it becomes a case of I will try and go into one of these ideas, and then if I can't execute it properly or as good of a standard as I want it to be, I go into a cycle of, well, that idea was rubbish, I'm rubbish.
But what's your grading system there? Like when you say like you know, my idea of good, like what, I guess, define your idea of good?
That's a really good question. I think in terms of, if, say for example, if it's like, if it's a good idea that gets a good reception, or if I come up with something and I just go all in with it and it gets a good reception, I'm like, okay, that was clearly an all right idea. But I think in terms of visually with things, I can't let something go. So say, for example, someone wants me to write a line of copy or someone wants me to write something for their website. I could write 10 different one-liners and be like, I mean, they're all okay, but then like half of one is all right. That I'm genuinely like, I'd want to put my name to that and present it out to people. Does that?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think like, so I've got kind of a two-parter here. So like, when what is it? So if you start an idea, right, and then you decide actually it's not good enough or good enough, and then you therefore park it, what is the impact of parking that idea on you?
It will kind of sometimes feel frustrating, or feel like an element of like failing at something,
right? Because
you can't see it through, if that makes sense. And it is very much like, it's also, I think, there's a lot of internal like rejection of something. So like if an idea, I sometimes like to think about it as if I don't feel the urge to see the idea fully through, something in my head is rejecting it. So it's maybe not worth investing in. Or I guess it's just that kind of, if it doesn't sit right.
Yeah, okay. But the impact you describe on you is that of like, it feels like a bit of a failure. Or, so I guess what I'd be interested to know is like, how could you perhaps change your expectation around it so that it didn't, if that were to happen, you wouldn't perhaps see it as a failure, you might see it differently. How could you change your expectations around that?
Interesting. I think it probably would be setting the expectation earlier. So like being able to define exactly kind of what you'd want the outcome to be and thinking about the longevity instead of the sort of instant gratification of coming up with something.
Right.
And just seeing it from like a bigger, like stepping back and seeing it from a bigger perspective and taking sort of less personal weight off of it.
Right.
So you detach personally from the idea a little bit more.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Because a lot of the things that I do, and I think a lot of things that, because it's kind of similar to what we've discussed about if you build a business or if you're growing something that you have a personal attachment to, it feels like anything that maybe goes wrong with it or doesn't feel right, or if it takes a kind of tricky direction, you'll automatically feel sort of a pang of a personal attachment to it. And I think being able to have a stronger mindset to detach personally from your business, and even though you're still the face of it and you're still running it and it's still your thing, but if something doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that you're failing or that you're bad at what you do. So I guess it's like the personal attachment.
So if I've understood correctly, in order to kind of make that change, you would need to, it starts earlier on in the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So are there, or rather, what ideas or things that are kind of like bubbling around do you feel like could perhaps benefit from this treatment that you're talking about now?
I think a lot of it would probably be in terms of like service offerings for my business, because I think when you're a creative person, because I've got background in styling, photography, videography, copywriting, marketing, like all of these different things that you want to be able to, and I love all of them equally. Like there's not a part of my skills or things that I offer within my business that I'm like, I like least, or if there's ones that are my favorite, like I like everything equally. So I think it's the struggle of wanting to be able to offer everything, but then always feel like you're overextending.
Okay. How overextended do you feel?
I feel quite overextended.
Okay.
Because you want to be able to offer all of these things. You enjoy all of these things, but then you're also one person. And especially in a creative job, it's like if you go to a job, you've only got two hands. You can only hold one camera. You can't hold four.
Yeah.
You can't do the videography and the photography and the social and still be present with people. Like it's realistic to be like, okay, I enjoy all of these things and I love all of these ideas and I want to be able to offer X, Y, and Z, but the reality is you're only one person.
Okay. So what does, if you were to, you're saying you currently feel overextended, what do you think, what small change do you think you could make that would perhaps make you feel less overextended?
I think, not annoyingly, it would probably be scale back on things that I'm offering.
Okay, scale back how?
Just like get a clearer view of what services are what my core business values are.
Like what are they?
So it's like being able to say, okay, this is a business that offers premium photography, premium videography, marketing, social media, and then define the 4 or 5 things that come under that are the really key things to hone in on that I feel like I'm best at, and then get rid of the rest.
How does that feel saying that?
It feels horrendous because I want to be able to do everything. But I think realistically, it's just understanding mentally where those core values are and what that looks like and how to be all right with that and how to not overextend and and for it to be okay to not offer everything.
Well, to maybe this might help, I don't know, but like what opportunities do you think it would give you and your business if you were to do what you're suggesting and kind of just bin off all that other stuff?
I think it would probably give clients a clearer view of what it is that I can help them with.
Okay, what else?
Which I also think is probably going to then in turn give people a clearer vision on exactly how we can work together and what benefit that can bring.
Okay.
And I also think it would probably, for my crazy neurodiverse brain, it would probably alleviate a lot of the fogginess from the day-to-day of everything.
Right.
So you're not getting caught up in every tiny little thing that you've offered to somebody, or someone asks about a service and you can't just say, here's the details for that, or here's the package for that. It's a lot of like, you want to be able to fit what they need. So it's like, well, you tell me what you want and then I'll work it out. And it still feels a bit messy. Right. So I think it might help make things a bit cleaner. Okay.
So now let's move into the world where things are a lot cleaner. What's next? What happens? What can you do now? Like you said, obviously it gives your clients a clearer message. I get that. But like, I suppose like what can you do? How can you launch off that into more progression, do you think?
It would probably be easier to define where I want the business to go long term.
Which is where?
I want it to be, I would love to expand the business to obviously bring in more people on to the team and being able to expand it in a way of we're your one-stop marketing like house.
Yeah.
So we could ultimately get to the point of doing all the things that I wanted to do in the beginning that I couldn't do, just myself, and having other people. So technically all I want to do is just grow 10 more hands via other people and have a team that I know understands the vision of what we're trying to do, people that can work seamlessly together and offer everything without burning myself into the ground, just doing it as one person, if that makes sense.
and what are you, I'm curious, you said like grow 10 more hands and stuff for people who share the vision. Like, what's the vision?
To help brands, all that KBP Creative is to be like a brand's second brain. It's like their creative brain, to bring the physical aspects of shooting content and being able to bring that creative vision to life, because every brand has a creative director, right? And that creative director is there to direct. They're not there to like produce the content. What I ideally want KBP Creative to be is be the creative director that can also produce everything. So it's just the creative brain, basically.
I love that as an analogy, like the creative brain. And like, so I mean, I can see that you're passionate about this as well. Like, I felt like I saw a bit of a shift when you kind of almost decided to get rid of this other stuff, and then you focused on the 4 things that you want to do. Like, I felt like I saw a bit of a shift. So I just wondered if you noticed anything. Yeah,
for sure. I have, obviously, as you can probably tell already, if I talk about things that I'm really overly passionate about, and if something feels right to me, my entire demeanor will change.
I noticed, yeah.
And I think a lot of my clients notice that sometimes as well. So it's like, if it's a business that comes to me that maybe isn't quite aligned, I think people can maybe tell that. Right. So, yeah, I think it's a case of if something clicks in my brain and I feel like it resonates and it makes sense, which a lot of your questions have obviously triggered that, it becomes more of like a bodily reaction, which then internally it signals to me that I'm like, okay, this is definitely what I need to do. I'm very much expressive. I'm very expressive. I'm a hand talker, as Jerry Seinfeld would say. And I think that sometimes I might be going off on a bit of a tangent here, but that in turn, I think also can draw some clients in. Yeah. Because if they can see that you're passionate about it and that you care about it, that makes them more inclined to like believe what you're saying. And I think when that naturally comes through, it becomes so much more authentic in what you're doing. So then there's less sort of internal, because for me at least, I have a lot of that internal like push-pull struggle when it comes to certain ideas, like we were saying. And I think when it truly feels like it aligns, when your energy shifts, that push-pull sort of dissipates and you're like, oh, okay, I can feel a bit more relaxed in it, but then still being passionate about the idea, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to hear a bit about these other bits that you're going to just kind of discard. So we know, I think you mentioned videography, photography. There was 2 other things, but the main sort of core 4.
Yeah.
That rhymes. That's funny. Maybe I should be in marketing.
Yeah, you should.
So we've got the core 4 here. Are you clear on what you're getting rid of? Is what I guess maybe what I'm trying to ask.
That's a really good question. I think it's probably things on a more like granular level with offerings, like, because videography can be such an umbrella term. Yeah. It's like, what is that? Is it a podcast episode? Is it a full length, like 20-minute video? Is it just clips for social? Like what's the angle of it? Yeah. So I think it would probably be disregarding things that I feel that probably align less with the market or with people's needs. So like I would scale back offerings that don't feel as essential.
Like what?
So like for me, I like copywriting, but I don't feel like it's a core pillar of my business. So I'd probably say I'd get rid of doing copywriting. I'm not an email designer, so I'd probably get rid of offering brands help with their emails and the CRM and stuff like that. So I think it's just alleviating things that I picked up from other jobs, but I don't necessarily feel like they align fully with what I'm trying to offer, and just having them there as add-ons to be like, oh, that might give me more opportunity to get more clients, or that might make me more attractive as a business owner to all these other businesses that will want to hire me. If they see that I'm offering all of these things, it gives them more of a chance to like give me the jobs, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So I see what you're saying. So like, I suppose maybe, is it fair to say that it was a way of just sort of getting more work, and like, just like, as if I offer everything, then I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I get that, because it's like, you know, I suppose the same thing is true in people who offer services like mine. Like a lot of coaches, you'll see they'll niche into particular things, because it can sometimes be, it's like if you try and please everyone, you tend to sometimes please nobody.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, isn't it? So it's like, if you're like, it sounds like what you're trying to do, focusing on these four, like, I guess maybe talk to me about what some of the benefits of doing what you're suggesting might be in terms of like niching down on these four.
I think it will probably give me personally more clarity, which would be nice. And also in terms of, it gives a clearer vision of what the business kind of stands for.
Yeah.
And it's just a clearer direction of like, okay, this person knows their business direction. They know what their key skills are and their key offerings and what sets them apart from other like creative agencies, because they've niched down, they know their skills, and it's kind of like less noise, that you sort of cut out the noise a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it becomes sort of like it becomes more of a one-word answer to push to people, rather than a big old paragraph of like, I can offer you all of this. And it's more just the one-word strong statement. This is what we're doing.
Which is what?
That's a good question.
Go on, pitch me.
That's you put me on the spot. That's
Messy
a lot of pressure. Messy start. Yeah. Being able to like it's the creative brain thing, isn't it?
See, I love that. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's what I'm going to do. Next time I go into any kind of pitch, I'm going to go, it's the creative brain thing, isn't it? And they'll go, that's it. You're in. We love it. It's great. That's how you sell it.
Sorry to push you there.
No, you're good. I love the panic. I love the sheer panic is great.
No, but I think like, do you know, and as far as like strap lines and pitches go, like that for me feels not only all encompassing, but it feels true to the way you present, the way that you've been talking about what you do. It makes sense from where I'm sat.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good. The other one was also, I really loved creative Swiss Army knife. I feel like that's a cool one. But then I also feel like someone else uses that, but I don't know who. I think it's like a a business or something.
Yeah, there is some.
It's like some online platform.
There is someone that something. I for the life of me, I can't actually remember who or what company does it, but I have heard that. But I think yours is better anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks.
It's I don't know. It paints a picture. You know what I mean? Like when you say that, I can picture a brain. So it's like it puts it into your. If you can make it, like people think about it afterwards, like after they've spoken to you, then it stays with them. Do you know what I mean? It leaves an impression. Mm-hmm. So now that we've gotten rid of this other stuff, like I guess like to be TBC on some of those things, and we're now thinking more clearly. Where are we going now with the business? Now that we're just a creative brain and we're thinking clearly. Yeah,
I think it's not being more selective with what clients we're going after.
Right.
and like what industries and niches that we're going after, and get a really clear vision of like, are we focusing solely on fashion? Are we focusing solely on jewelry? Are we going into the health and wellness industry? Like, what industries? Now we've got the core of what the business stands for. What businesses align with that? Because I think in the beginning, when you're first starting out a business, or if you're first starting out as a freelancer, the pressure to start and to grow is bigger than the idea of who suits me instead of who can I suit on like a bigger level.
I love that. Like, because it's like, it's a, you know, I love the way that you flip that around, because it's that feels like a way more empowering statement than the predecessor. Like, what, you know, what suits me. I think that's great.
Yeah. I think it's taken, because it's the year I started KBP Creative a year ago last week, I think. And in the beginning, it was very much like, just have to start, find clients, get it, grow it, get it started, promote it. And it's like, if a client comes to you, you take it. you take it. And it's like that part of your brain that you're like, okay, but this person, so say for example, I had an email from a company who make sauces for kebab shops, that they were like, we distribute these sauces to these different kebab shops. I was looking at it and I was like, I should take it really, but I really don't want to.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of like coming from the fashion industry and coming from industries that I really feel connected to.
Yeah.
Because since I was a little kid, fashion's always been in the forefront of my brain.
Yeah.
Like I think in outfits. Like if I start my day, the first thing I think about isn't, I need to eat. It's like, what am I going to wear today?
Yeah.
And like, how does that represent who I am as a person and all of that kind of stuff? So I think that probably drove a lot of wanting to just solely work with like fashion and jewelry brands and things like that. So that comes with confidence, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Making those decisions of like, I don't just have to accept what comes to me if it doesn't feel right. Yeah. And I think one of the main things that I've learned in terms of like growing my business and getting out of that mindset of just taking what you get is you have to be able to have an element of being able to sit in uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I've never been very good at that in my life, ever. So like, I can't sit with uncertainty. And it's funny actually, because this is a bit of a tangent, but I had a therapy session yesterday and my therapist and I were talking about the act of ruminating and really overthinking something. And it's basically what you're doing. She used an incredible analogy that literally blew my mind. She said that the act of ruminating is basically just you're sitting there with a magic 8 ball and you're just endlessly shaking it to try and get the answer that you want and that feels right, instead of sitting in the uncertainty.
I love that. I
literally was like, oh, that was so good.
Okay.
And it's like just endlessly sitting and shaking it. And I think that is what, like, learning to sit in uncertainty is being able to put the 8 ball down and go, I don't need you to tell me. I can just sit with it and know that what is right and what aligns will come.
Love that.
And trusting it a bit more, I guess.
That's cool.
But that's very cool.
That's a powerful statement.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to be doing differently then with your business as a result of this?
I definitely will be focusing more on my time and managing my time and what I put my effort into, especially with the scaling stuff back.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of, again, getting rid of the noise and not feeling like you have to be coming up with all these different ideas if they don't materialize. And like trusting, it comes back down to trusting the ideas that feel right. Yeah. Instead of putting all of your energy into a mess of things that don't make sense. Yeah.
So, and then how clear are you on the things that you're going to scale back on, do you think, in terms of like moving into this 4 pillars?
I think a lot of it will probably be what brings me the most joy
Yeah.
but also balanced with, from a strategic perspective,
Sure.
what has been the most requested in the last
Got
year.
you. Okay.
And I feel like a lot of the stuff that's most requested does stand out.
Okay.
So
And that creates your four.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I think it
got
could
you.
make that decision easier, but then it also sits in that middle ground of, I'm doing the things that I want to do and the things that bring me joy and that I feel like my skills lend themselves to. But then I'm also being mindful of what makes the money and what drives the business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those two parts of my brain actually working together for once instead of against each other.
So they're the two bits that are going to be forming the core, like the four that are staying, and then everything else just goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Got
think
you.
so. I think it's just a lot of clearing the slate and getting a clearer vision, because as my life has proven to me that living in a mess does not make you feel any better. And fearing structure and fearing a clean environment as a creative person, I think fills people with a lot of fear in the creative industry. They're like, no, but then if I'm more regimented with my structure, that means I'm less free flowing and I'm less creative and I'm less of all of these things. But the two can coexist.
Nice.
Like, it doesn't have to be extreme, is what I'm learning slowly, I guess.
Love that.
But yeah.
Amazing. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's
Absolute
been great.
pleasure.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.